Ways to set boundaries with narcissists. Hello, and today's subject is a continuation of the inquiry into how to recover after being in a toxic, unhelpful, narcissistic relationship. Identifying, setting, and even reinforcing boundaries will be the focus of my attention today. But because I thought I could cover everything in a single video, I will divide it into several parts. Today, I will start with two of them. I'm going to start by asking you to consider what you should stop doing so that we can establish and enforce boundaries. If you enjoy this video, continue. Please think about subscribing to my channel if you find it useful so you can receive updates on topics relating to mental health in the future. Just to be clear, this video should not be used to diagnose anyone and should not be a replacement for professional. Just to review, narcissism frequently exhibits a sense of entitlement. Admiration is necessary. Being either very defensive or very sensitive to criticism exists. Extremely abrasive behavior, a lack of empathy, and a desire to exert control over those around them are all present. Consequently, before examining how to set boundaries with challenging people, let's first define boundaries. Now, when you consider boundaries, you should know that we have physical ones. We generally don't like it when people invade our personal space, but when we think of other boundaries, we usually think of our limits, our values, and our integrity. Consider the distinction between managing expectation and meeting your own, as well as the expectation that others have of you. I believe that setting boundaries helps you distinguish between your own thoughts, feelings, experiences, expectations, and even behaviors. Yes, it's healthy and wise to respect one another's boundaries, but not necessarily at the expense of your rights or your self-respect. Respect is not shown when we consistently give in or compromise while the other person doesn't. Simply giving in would not do. Nowadays, people are able to cross each other's boundaries without even realizing they have done so. However, we can generally communicate with one another. Such statements could be made. The request you made doesn't seem reasonable to me. That was not funny to me. Even though we may not agree with each other or fully understand each other, we can at least respect that and change our behavior because it was actually quite insulting. However, occasionally we come across people who go beyond the pale to see what they can get away with. They may make you feel crazy, selfish, or unreasonable for setting boundaries in the first place. And they go on until you eventually accept their behavior as normal. They keep doing this piece by piece. Now, in situations like that, I contend that instead of crossing boundaries, people are actually violating them. They are experts at what they are doing. In your life, the narcissist may now be a parent or a family member of a current or former partner. It might be a coworker or even just a friend. However, if you have ever been in a long-term relationship with a narcissist, you are probably aware of the gaslighting, guilt-tripping, and shaming techniques they use to dominate, manipulate, and make you feel crazy and like you have some sort of obligation to them. Therefore, something to consider is narcissists and have freedom of reaction. Crossing boundaries is a good way to create drama which they thrive on. For them, they exhaust you with their passive-aggressive comments, tantrums, punishment, and act as though they have no idea what you're talking about whenever you bring it up. They essentially prey on your misery by taking advantage of the fact that you are always caving in, offering excuses and justifying your actions while offering them little to nothing in return. And the effects of a long-term relationship like this can leave someone not really knowing how to fully assert themselves without sounding like they are in the wrong or sounding crazy. Since they have been emotionally blackmailed and manipulated to such an extent, they are no longer fully aware of their values or boundaries, and they are beginning to doubt their own sense of reality and integrity. They continue to give that narcissist things that will never be returned. Therefore, it's crucial to put your safety first when it comes to understanding, managing, or even reclaiming your boundaries. Also, your narcissist can be incredibly vengeful. Asserting yourself doesn't involve attempting to provoke someone. Make sure you are safe because they carry that perceived slight and emotional wound around for a very long time. I believe that when it comes to boundaries, a good place to start is perhaps by identifying what is and isn't acceptable to you. What constitutes a red line and what decisions might be subject to some leeway. Now you may be able to tell the difference between joking around or being teased and being insulted. You might be able to distinguish between someone raising their voice to threaten or intimidate you and someone who is passionately debating an issue. So, if not, think about a few things. If you are unaware, when you start asserting yourself with a narcissist, expect some kind of kickback. The first question to ask yourself is, am I really prepared to accept from them the very things that they will not accept from me? Am I prepared to give them the things they are denying me? Expect them to possibly increase the intensity or alter their strategy in order to achieve the same result. Therefore, as I already said, you must ensure your safety while maintaining your strength. As usual, I occasionally believe that it can be beneficial to view things in reverse. Not everything has to do with what we should stop doing. Let's look at some of the behaviors to avoid whenever we are managing our boundaries. Therefore, the first step is to stop looking to them for approval. Now, I believe that our need for approval is ingrained in us from birth. Because we are social beings, we require the affirmation, reflection, and mirroring of others. Even if it's just for the purpose of feeling seen, we need other people to empathize with us right now. That won't typically happen when you are dealing with a narcissist because more often than not they didn't really get any of this as children and therefore don't really know how to connect with people in a genuine and effective way. High-functioning, highly social individuals can mimic it to draw it only cursed, but this usually doesn't last for very long because it's only a show and not really the case. They can also perform it in front of you while performing it on other people, but that is also unreal. Others cannot be validated by some people for whatever reason. Some people fear that by validating others, they will feel invalidated themselves, which will be too humiliating and shameful for them. There are those, however, who genuinely enjoy invalidating you. They observe you as you battle against their ongoing devaluation of your ideas, emotions, and life events. And I believe that narcissists struggle to understand the idea that validating someone doesn't necessarily imply that they agree with them or that they fully understand them. Due to lack of insight and emotional depth, I respect you enough to want to know how that is for you is the only way to validate someone, so stop anticipating it. Keep in mind what I said earlier. It is both yours and mine. You aren't really asking him to understand. You are just asking him to accept it. If you hear someone say, I don't understand why that's a problem, as I used to hear frequently, this is their business if they are unable or unwilling to. And second, stop blaming them. It's not their fault, it's their trauma. How many times have you excused them? They weren't raised well, so it's not their fault that they don't know any better. Their illness, not them, is to blame, not you. I now hope that you found this information to be useful. As usual, some interesting remarks and discussions have started in relation to these videos. Please use the comment section below to share any strategies you have for setting and maintaining boundaries. Others may find it useful. For further updates on topics relating to mental health, please consider subscribing to my channel if you like this video and found it useful. Until next time, thanks for watching.